am good.
And I'm going to hit record as well. Hello, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Hope you all are doing well. Let me make sure we're actually live on those platforms real quick. And then YouTube's there. Great. We love that. Just going to get the TikTok stream pulled up because that's the only comments I can't see on my PC. And then we're good. Hope you guys are doing well. Out in the internet verse. Things are good. Probably should have played some background music for this part, but you know how it be. All right, we're live. You love to see it. You love to see it. All right, I am recording, and I'm going to hit the intro button.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, it's good to have you here. Viewers, it's good to have you here. What a show we have in store. Oh my. Look, it was going to be a big show anyways. The fact that the three of us have not had the chance to sit down and chat with you all for like a month makes this an even bigger show. We're almost ready for all three of us. Johnny's here. Josh is on his way in. Johnny, welcome back from the dead. It's good to see you, man. How was your week with all the craziness of NBA, NHL, and NFL draft? How you doing?
Madness. Helped a friend move to Minneapolis, so like 12-hour trip. That was fun. Yeah, NHL. Like, there's something on every night. Yes. That's one of the best parts about this time of year which is honestly most of the year. But there's something meaningful on at all times, every single night this time of the year. Even if the NBA playoffs are getting out of hand and, they're kind of big sweeps or you kind of know who's going to win, big margins.
Or, if the refs are deciding which team is going to win,
The NHL will save you.
That's true.
In most of those situations with the sheer drama and stupidity of the NHL because it's not like the NBA, an 8 seed can beat a 1, a 7 can beat a 2, and it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's still a surprise, but it's not insane. And baseball's still so young that I don't know, it's easy for me not to take it for granted yet. We're not into the dog days of the summer where it's like, oh yeah, baseball, that's on again too. It's still fresh and like I'm ready to go to watch. So there's still a lot to go going on right now. So I've been plenty busy.
Now, Johnny, busy. That's the perspective of 29 of the 30 Major League Baseball franchises. Because the White Sox were in the dog days of summer in like January. This team is 7-21 already. How did we get here?
Aaron, we made bets though, right? So yes. What is their pace? What's their pace for number of wins?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will do some math. Now, you could be the Colorado Rockies, who are 4-23 with a run differential of -69. Not nice. Yikes. Yeah, what's 7-21 extrapolated? I would look this up on my phone, but my phone is my camera right now. So I don't know. It's not good. I know I was a little bit more optimistic about and by a little bit, I mean like, hey, maybe they can win 10 more games this year. That right now they're on pace to do, I believe, worse than they did last year because their win percentage is .250. So really, them in Colorado, history in the making, folks. History.
Aaron, it's a race for the bottom. It's like we're watching a relegation battle, but there is no relegation.
Only the fans leave.
Yeah.
Oh,
but can we pretend like it's relegation if this is still going on in August?
Yeah.
Like I want to pretend like the loser. If the A's lose, they have to stay in Sacramento. Forever. They might anyway, but this will guarantee it.
I mean, shout out Athletics. They're 14-14 right now. Oh my. I mean, I'm looking at the Orioles who are somehow 10-17 because they decided, hey, let's give up 147 runs. This is not a baseball podcast. I don't know how we got here. Anyways, this is...
I gave Aaron an opening. I apologize,
correct.
Fans.
You're right. That is how we got here. No, this will really be just an NFL draft debrief show, as it typically is the Monday after the NFL draft. And I would say other years, like we'll talk about it and move on to maybe, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball. It's going to be difficult this show because there is so much to unpack from this draft. There's obviously the big elephant in the room is this Shadur Sanders drama, which we will get to. We'll probably wait for Josh to get here so he can also weigh in on this, because that's a topic that, frankly, we could probably spend our full hour on. We're going to try not to, because we also know that every sports anything has already covered that. But I'm assuming you're listening to this show partly to get our thoughts on the situation, so we are happy to provide that. But Johnny, what I want to ask you, because you are one of the most dedicated people when it comes to the NFL draft in terms of, kind of analyzing everything beforehand and looking at the aftermath. If you had to pick a winner and a loser from this draft, which teams are those?
Yeah, I mean, if you limit it to one, that's very difficult, of course, but my winner would be Las Vegas. Just one of the winners of the draft. They addressed their needs, and I also would say they solidified their culture under Pete Carroll and the new regime. And I mean, listen, up until the last few weeks before the draft, everyone was mocking Ashton Genty. Earliest they're going is to Dallas. And then all of a sudden, about 2 weeks before the draft, there's this clear storm of, hey, the Raiders, hey, he's not getting out of the top 10 of the draft. And I know some people might think, oh man, like kind of still thinking backwards, you can't draft a running back that early. You can't do that. This is what Pete Carroll is. He went and got Geno Smith, a quarterback he trusts and believes in, who's great off play action. When he struggled in Seattle, it's because they struggled at times to run the ball. And some of that was offensive line help. Well, that's also why I love the draft for them. In round 3, they went all line. Round 2, they get wide receiver help. Round 4, they get wide receiver help. Like, Pete went into the trenches, and I honestly almost include Ashton Genty as in the trenches to help solidify the culture of the Raiders. Now, is Las Vegas going to be great this year? Probably not. But they're going to be better than last year, and the culture, that solid foundation, will be set for the future. And that's what you want out of a draft. It's not always instant, payback.
Plus, bonus points for drafting Tonka Hemingway, one of the greatest football names in this draft. So shout out Las Vegas.
I agree. And then you asked for like one loser. And there's a few teams that I didn't love their drafts overall. Not just a pick, mind you. There's, you dislike lots of picks for teams and you could still like their overall draft. Chicago. I did not care for Chicago's pick. And it wasn't so much the players like, oh man, like they're not worthy of being selected at that spot. It's Chicago didn't address their needs. They waited way too long to address their needs. You draft Colston Loveland, tight end, which this is actually one guy that I just don't understand. Like the tape
agreed.
Doesn't say it to me. Like he's a very solid, good tight end. I understand even when he was healthy at Michigan, wide receiver threat. So he's getting doubled. He's the whole offense. He has no quarterback. I understand that, but he struggled to be healthy his whole time at Michigan as well. And more so than that, Chicago doesn't need a tight end. They're fine. And you're going to waste a first round pick on a tight end position that is not an immediate need on a team with many immediate needs.
Right.
And while you could say, well, this could help Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has plenty of targets. That makes me go to round 2. You take Luther Burden the third. Listen, I like the guy a lot. A second round pick on him is awesome. Chicago, what are you doing here? The issue last year was not Caleb Williams doesn't have enough targets. It was that you let a lame duck coach stick around to coach the Chicago Bears, and that's going to screw up Caleb Williams' development. You're trying to coach him to play the quarterback position in a way that does not suit his attributes well. Now, that might change this year. New regime, offensive-minded coach. Hopefully that's the case. But you really needed to help solidify running back position, offensive line. I know they did take Ozzie Trapillo in the second round at tackle. That helped. but there wasn't enough of that going on. And they didn't take a running back, I believe, in the draft at all. So I just did not understand Chicago's draft. Now, a reminder, it's a draft. You don't actually get worse drafting. So the reality is there's still a better team for it, but it's the missed opportunity. It's the opportunity cost, if you will, for all my business people out there. That they had opportunities to take significant contributors to their team, and they didn't do it. And so that was disappointing to me. Like, and I know being Chicago Bears fan,
this is a feud every single NFL draft. And I gotta say, we are on the correct side. I want you to be good. Yeah, we want you to be. Well, I want you to be good. As a Lions fan, I could kind of care less. But generally, from a podcast perspective, we don't hate the Bears. Also, we have been correct. One of our most polarizing videos came out. We put out like 3 years ago. It's like the Bears are ruining Justin Fields, which maybe that was just Justin Fields not being bad, but either way, we were dead correct on that.
Yes.
So we do have a.
If you don't want to ruin Caleb Williams, protect him, yes, and give him a running game.
Yes, 100%.
Give him a running game.
Now, speaking of the Lions, you gave them a pretty unfavorable grade, and I will say from an objective standpoint, I understand why you would do that. I saw a couple of the picks that happened, and I kind of was like, what are we doing here? This doesn't make any sense. When I thought those same thoughts 2 years ago, when the Lions moved up to get Jahmyr Gibbs, when they drafted all the players that they did. So from a Lions fan perspective, I am trusting in Brad Holmes until he proves otherwise, because up till now he's been brilliant. But I understand, because what was the biggest issue for the Lions was, well, they all died. But other than that, their biggest issue was outside of Aiden Hutchinson, they had some issues rushing the quarterback. They brought in, obviously, Zadarius Smith midseason trade. So, but naturally the thought was, well, okay, first round pick, or one of the two or three second or third round picks that they had, they'll go defensive end. As you pointed out in your kind of summary here, they did not do that. They eventually got a defensive end from Boise State late in the draft who said he was willing to die on the field for them, which sounds like a Dan Campbell kind of guy. But they didn't address it early in the draft. Now, you did get Tyleik Williams from Ohio State, which I think is great.
Love the pick.
I love that pick as well. So I understand you said C+ for them. I'm with you in terms of an outsider, if you will, or just kind of more of an objective standpoint. There were some big risks that the Lions made in this draft, and we will see if they pull it off. Mostly their wide receiver, round 3. They gave up a ton of draft capital, relatively speaking, to draft a wide receiver, a position that they didn't necessarily need. Not that you can ever have too many receivers, but that's pretty low on the list of needs. But let them cook, as we say. Brad Holmes. We'll see what happens.
In some ways, they were consistent. It was like they drafted 2 guards in the first 5 rounds. Like they want to make sure that offensive line is always fortified. And honestly, I love that. It wasn't so much that, Aaron. It was the wide receiver pick that really threw me off the most when I'm like, what? And we're trading. So I was like, what are we doing? We're like, Tyleik Williams, to me, felt like, even at the time, I thought, okay, there's a bunch of pass rushers left right now. It's really like, I don't even have a gap really between any of them. You can wait. And that's how I felt about a lot of like this draft was there's only a few at that top tier, and it was very slim pickings. And after that, they're very tight. So like a late first round pick and a third round pick, I could actually see as almost equivalent at times, depending on scheme and fit. And so like Tyleik Williams to me was like, that is maybe the best defensive tackle left on the board at the time. One of the best players available, grab him. That's great. Love it. Because they needed help on the defensive line in general.
Yep.
Now with Williams and Reeder, I love that at the defense, but yeah, just the fact that they didn't address edge sooner. And like, hopefully Hutchinson's like totally 100% healthy coming into the season, but you also don't know that for sure. So like, why would you not fortify and address that whatsoever? That was kind of my like, that was clearly to me the biggest weakness of the team. And I understand their defense also. They're just thinking, well, we can't possibly be that injured again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not even that we hate our personnel. It's just like, if they're healthy, we'll be good. Yep. So I understand, and you should trust Holmes. For now, he hasn't steered you wrong. So far.
So far. Speaking of hating their personnel, Johnny, we were texting about what your Bengals were doing. You did rate them a little worse than the Lions. What did you think about your Cincinnati Bungles?
So I'll start off with positive. So, like, they've started to lose from the linebacker room a lot, and they need to surround Logan Wilson with other linebackers. So I actually really like the Demetrius Knight from South Carolina. Love that pick in the second round. I had no problem with that. And I have no problem with them also, going and trying to get a guard to try to fortify that offensive line as well. That was one of the weakest spots on the offensive line last year. And this is probably a harsh grade, giving them a C, but it's probably because I'm a fan. But I focus far more on production than traits. And the Bengals, more often than not, will draft on traits, and that's when they whiff.
Yep. Wide receiver goes fast. Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly. That's when they whiff. Yeah. And so this draft in general to me was, wow, these are all high risk, high reward picks. And I just don't love that. I like a mix of that going on. And Shamar Stewart, like, again, obviously he's on the team now. I hope he's brilliant. But he had 4 sacks his whole time at Texas A&M. And they're like, well, look at his combine and look at this. And I'm like, well, that's wonderful, but I want tackles. I want production. And that really just infuriated me. And per usual, it infuriated me even more because the guy I wanted was taken by Baltimore later on. And that would be Mike Green from Marshall. And the Ravens got them in the second round. And this is a constant thing for me, that the guy I desperately want gets taken by the Ravens, and he ends up being brilliant. And that's just going to drive me nuts now, again, probably for the next 8 to 10 years. So I think that also got to me a little bit when it was the Ravens getting Mike Green. And the Bengals just didn't address that enough still to me either. Like, where's the defensive tackle drafted? Like, we weren't good at run stopping last year. So I would have liked that. And then, like, Will Johnson was available for the Bengals too at times. And I know clearly, like, him being the cornerback from Michigan, clearly the injury concerns really scared away a lot of teams. Otherwise, he easily is a first round talent. And I don't blame him for that. But that kind of frustrated me too, where the secondary for us could have been fortified as well.
Sure. Well, the Bengals were not the only team making unique moves. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, because the biggest storyline, at least in round 1, was the big trade between the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And somehow we come to the same conclusion more often than not, which in some ways is frustrating for a show where we would probably get better views for disagreeing with one another. But our immediate reactions to the Browns trading back with the Jaguars was, this is great, because the Browns need help basically not everywhere, but I mean, this was a very bad team last year. They need help in a lot of places, and they're going to be real bad this year. Browns fans, I get it. Travis Hunter is an extremely exciting prospect, and I think he's going to be great, probably in Jacksonville too. One of the reasons why I liked what the Browns did is because I just don't believe Travis Hunter will consistently play both offense and defense in the NFL. Because here's the other thing. If you need him to, your team stinks if you need him to do both.
Are you saying that the Browns might be bad if they...
I am, in fact, saying that, Josh.
Player? That's news to me.
Yeah.
But that's why this was a wise decision.
I think it was. Aaron. And maybe he'll show me wrong and he will just light up the NFL maybe on both sides of the ball. I think he's wide receiver alone. He's great. But think about it. If you knew going into this draft, hey, Travis Hunter can do both, but for your team, he's only going to do one thing. Is he the number 2 pick in the NFL draft? No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's top 10, maybe even top 5 still. But if going into this, you knew for certain that he was not going to do both, he is not the number 2 pick. And I just don't, and it's not like a lack of his ability at all. It's just, you cannot physically play. And they said this, whatever channel you were watching the draft on, they said this, you are not going to play 120 snaps in the NFL. You will die.
No. Yeah. Not just the cardio, just the brute force punishment.
Yep.
Yeah. You're expected to tackle far more at corner in the NFL than you are in college.
And it's not
and everybody's bigger, faster, stronger too.
It's a bunch of 32-year-old 500-pound veterans.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like little. Yeah.
And Mason Graham, to me, was one of the no miss prospects.
Agreed.
Like, he might not be, all pro, but he will be a solid defensive tackle for a long time. And what you said, Aaron, is like, hey, that was probably the best available by the time they traded down. So I think it's a good pick. The Browns were in a position, to me, in this draft where you just take the best player available almost the whole time. Almost the whole time. Yes, you still have Myles Garrett. You still have Ward. You still have plenty of talent on the team. It's not talent devoid, but you are nowhere near competing for anything. You're going to be bad. So I love the trade because you get another first-round pick for next year. I don't think the Jags will do anything this season. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. So you get another high draft pick again next year, not to mention the extra pick you got this year. So I love that. I love Quinshon Judkins. That you need a bell cow replacement at running back. I was surprised it was Judkins instead of Henderson. I think most people were. But I still think Judkins will be very good there with Stefanski's offense. But here's where they lose me. They draft then in the 4th round Dylan Sampson at running back. And I'm like, well, hold on now. Then why did you bother drafting Judkins in the 2nd? Because now it feels derivative, and Sampson's also a good back in his own right. He led the SEC in rushing at Tennessee this last year. And then you drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and Shedeur Sanders in the 5th, and we'll get to him in a moment. But it was just like, well, hold on, what are you doing here? Now what? Now you've lost me. I'm not sure what the game plan is anymore. So through 2.5 rounds, I'm like, this is a great draft.
Yeah.
The Browns were finally smart. They're trading down. They're getting extra picks. They realize this is a long-term reset. And then they draft Gabriel, shocking everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Not that they took a quarterback, but I think that just surprised them, surprised people. And then you draft Sampson and you're like, wait, okay, 2 running backs, in your first 4 rounds. And then, you take Sanders as well. So I like my favorite meme was in The Dark Knight. You have that scene at the pool table with the Joker. He says that there's only one spot left and it's open tryouts, breaks the pool stick in half, tosses it into the room and leaves.
Right.
The 2 guys there in the room alone.
What do you think that meant,
People
Johnny?
said that's the Browns quarterback room this off season with Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett and now Shedeur Sanders. The fact that there's 5 of them to begin with is crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Hard Knocks, do the right thing. We need you to cover the Browns quarterback room only.
Most of these NFL teams are like, hey, can we have less preseason? The Browns are like, we'd like an entire season of preseason.
Yeah.
And preferably our games on the regular season don't count either.
They're going to be talking about the Browns a lot this offseason. So if that was the goal of the draft, mission accomplished, Cleveland.
I'll also throw in there, I love the Harold Fannin pick. You're talking about, you talked about production versus traits. Traits wise at the combine, there's a reason why he was picked below other tight ends. Production wise in college, nobody was better. Nobody was better.
Yep.
And you can say, oh, well, he played at Bowling Green. What competition was he playing against? And that's the same kind of thing we hear all the time for these smaller schools, and they turn out NFL product,
all the time.
And they work out
all the time.
Look at some of the best quarterbacks we have in the NFL and where they played. So that's a
Aaron,
thought.
I'll say though, a 3rd round pick at a tight end is not a slight to me though.
No, it's not
Just
either.
because like
And
if
I know
you're a
you
tight
have-
end or you're a guard, like
Right.
you just aren't valued as much. So I love that pick too.
I love that
Yeah.
pick, and I understand you have a tight end. Some of the fans that were like, we already have this. We don't need this. I get that. And that is maybe part of this confusing draft. But I just think the dude is an absolute baller. You can say, well, his competition wasn't that good. And I'll say, well, yeah, everyone in the MAC was trying to stop this guy, and they couldn't. So I think he'll be fine. So we'll see. We will talk about the Shadur Sanders thing in just a moment. But Josh, welcome in. Your Pittsburgh Steelers just said, let's. That's exactly right. Let's just draft Ohio State players. So that's got to feel pretty good.
Worked out well for them in college. May as well try it
Yeah.
again.
It made me so mad.
Ah.
Yep.
We got Captain Jack. We have, I guess his name has to be Will Turner, and the legend will live on. Yeah, Johnny, I was going through your draft grades, and thank you for that. I noticed you didn't put Will Howard as a factor in the Steelers overall
I only
draft
went
grade.
the first 5 rounds.
See, and that's why the Steelers are going to win, because they think about that 6th rounds. You asked, hey, who's our QB? It's that guy right there.
That's right.
He better not be week 1.
in all-
he
in all
better not
seriousness,
be week 1.
What this clarifies is that we're going to get Rodgers for a year, and I'm going to be the one handling the soap opera. I'm hoping that the
You
Browns
better
become
you-
more of the soap opera.
Josh, but you better get Rodgers at
Oh,
this
I'll
point.
take. Listen,
I know,
what did I
like
say,
you don't
like,
want him.
oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want him, but he's better than like throwing Will to the Wolves.
Yeah.
Week
Yes.
1. Like
Oh,
we all love
absolutely.
Will. Maybe
yeah.
Will can be a starting quarterback, but it won't be week 1 of this
It's not-
season.
and that's
like
the
no way.
Steelers don't, and that's not the Steelers' mantra. You said in this very, very correctly. They
You're right,
drafted
Mason
the Steeler
Rudolph.
way.
Yeah, Mason
It's-
Rudolph.
yeah.
Yes.
Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph. Hey, can we trade for Flacco somehow? But we have it's trench guys. It is a bunch of trench guys. That's fine. That's what Steelers always end up doing, and that's fine. It's their thing.
I like the draft, Josh.
It was
I
good.
thought they had a
It's-
solid
They've been
draft.
doing some really good stuff, and I've been saying this for a few years. That means that this year might be an odd year, but get a guy who you think has potential. Let him sit underneath a veteran for a year or two. Like if Rodgers gets us at 500, and we know it's going to be a rebuilding year, and we just have Will learn and figure out, hey, what's it like to be an NFL guy from one of the guys to have done it. Of the guys who have been elite quarterbacks, he is definitely one of the most quarterbacks.
Aaron's well known for being a nurturer.
Yeah.
For his younger
Yes, and that is
quarterbacks.
also one of the things that Aaron does know how to do well of anything is to know how to share the spotlight well and gracefully. And not go on podcasts or have a
Correct.
cabin.
Yeah. And good news for
Kevin's
Mason
really
Rudolph.
far away
If he ends up being the quarterback, he'll be ready for what's coming because his wide receivers will just be swinging helmets at one another, and he's already prepared for that kind of physicality.
The back line's going to be just shootouts, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
But that Josh, that defensive line, talk about reinforced.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Get him.
Whew. And then you replace Najee Harris basically with Caleb Johnson. He's used to basically the exact same uniform at
Yep.
Iowa. He'll
Yeah, he
be
doesn't have
ready
to
to
get a new
go.
one at
Like,
all.
It's
Yep.
hey, we like those corn-fed guys.
but that was like even Caleb Johnson. I'm like, yeah, that's a Steeler, like running
Yeah.
back.
Mhm.
Like he's just like made in that image type of guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I hated them getting Jack because I thought, dang it, he's also
Mhm.
going to succeed there, and
Yep.
I'm going to have to deal with him in the division,
There's ground and
so
pounds.
yeah. And
Thanks, Cameron
we're
Hayward.
skipping the first round pick. I thought,
Oh yeah.
Derek Harmon is an outstanding pick.
Mhm.
Nobody's ever going to give a ton of credit like, the defensive tackle, but he is the heir apparent there, basically. Like he can't play forever, like he can't play forever in the middle of the Steelers line as much as everybody seems to think so. So they got his heir apparent, so there shouldn't be a huge drop off there. So I thought it was a really, really good draft. I was just surprised they didn't take someone a little sooner, but I think it also probably speaks to the lack of high-end quality quarterbacks in this draft as well.
It's a sit out this year, see what you can do with a short contract.
6th round pick is not anything.
Exactly. Give him his dues. If it works out, great. If not, you didn't throw him into the wolves like you did with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Which maybe you'll
have a better setup.
Yeah. You could get him back. Somebody has to get cut from the Cleveland quarterback room.
It probably will be him,
legally?
right?
Legally? Has to be.
I don't know what the contract is structured like. I know they'd like to just get rid of Deshaun Watson. It's like he's not there, but he is when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, boys. It's time for that conversation.
Yeah, sorry I was late. I was busy tearing down my acceptance room. I was really, really looking forward to this draft day. I had this room. If you're streaming, if you're live streaming with us, this room looks very plain behind me, and I spent so much time and resources, kind of branding my own name, Josh, and then it was like, but the S was a $sign, and the H was actually the Hebrew He, and it was really cool. You would have loved it. And then it was just, I had a lot of branding with my face and everything on it, and then I forgot that I'm on a podcast. So
bummer.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Again, fooled.
Yeah.
Also, no one drafted me, so.
Yeah. Well, right. Johnny always makes the point every year. Well, if you didn't get worse as a team if you drafted. I'm like, well, if you draft the three of us, you do. So there is a way, NFL. Draft me.
You're lucky I haven't declared.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, to be fair, I too didn't go.
I still have collegiate eligibility, so
or to a bowl.
Do we though have collegiate eligibility?
I can probably claim a COVID year.
I think if you're under the age of 30, you still have eligibility.
But we went to college and did not play sports. Is that
right? We didn't use it. We could go. I think we could go do like grad school, Aaron. And we could play like a couple of years.
All right.
I have to check on that.
I'm open,
but I think so.
I've entered the transfer portal. Everybody. Okay.
I'll go kick.
5 days after it ended. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Josh. All right. So this whole thing, I think if you're listening to this sports podcast, you are at least generally aware of what happened. I'm not going to try to recap this, but what I am going to try to do is maybe just provide our thoughts on why this happened. Were the Browns held at gunpoint, or specifically the general manager and the head coach when they drafted Shedeur Sanders? What happened here? So I'll start with this tweet, and then we can kind of just roll from here. Also, I'm sure you probably have thoughts, so let us know if you're watching live. We've got someone on YouTube that said, cool logo. Thank you. I appreciate that. You can give us your thoughts live or on demand, either like the stream we throw on YouTube after the fact, or I think you can put comments into the actual podcast platform. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this too, or Facebook or whatever. But let me start with what the college football nerds said on Twitter, because again, I think they are just very, very knowledgeable, as their name implies, and they just have a very level head about a lot of this stuff. So and you can even disagree with them, that's fine, but I think what they said is a really good place to start this conversation. So they said, the overreaction to Shedeur Sanders is insane. 5 teams may let a guy slide over fit. When 32 teams let you slide, and I'll add in here my own commentary over and over again, multiple times, it's who you are as a player. Sanders has good arm talent, but a bad internal clock and average athleticism. He needs to be coachable, and instead bombed his interviews. And guys, I think that's where it comes down to, because there were some tweets out there kind of comparing this to a Colin Kaepernick situation, like throwing, is this racism? And I think it's important to be sensitive to those kinds of things because they do happen, but that's not what we're talking about here. I'm just going to go ahead and just knock that one out. That's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about 32 teams repeatedly skipping over this player because for a variety of different reasons, but most significantly is because he bombed his interviews. Now, some said it was on purpose because he wanted to guide where he wanted to go in the draft. I can tell you right now, that man did not want to go to Cleveland. That was not in the cards according to his plan. There's no way.
But Aaron, the only people okay. That topic is for talk show hosts that have nothing better to talk about in the summer. Like, oh man, like Andrew Luck decided to come back for his senior year of college. Like, could he try to dictate where he goes in the draft?
Right.
There's been like
you're hearing this with Cooper Flagg in the NBA right now.
Yeah. You've heard this through like 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. The history. So there was clearly a misunderstanding from Shedeur and his whole camp of what his value was. Now, listen, I had Shedeur going second all the way up until like 3 weeks, a month ago. And then I was getting the big hints that no, that is not happening. The Giants don't like him. The Saints don't like him. So I still had him in the first round, but I actually had Pittsburgh taking him, Josh, with their pick in the first round. And so there's clearly that issue where he totally misunderstood his own value, because you can't act like that unless you're a no-miss prospect. You're that good. You're that gifted. People will put up with you. A la Aaron Rodgers before this fall off with his age. You know, the Packers put up with a lot, and a lot of other teams would have also put up with it because of how good he was. How good you are can overcome all of that, all of it. But he wasn't at that level of prospect. Even if he had interviewed well, he still probably is getting drafted behind Cam Ward. And I hadn't heard about the Brian Daboll interview, which I feel like was purposefully not really leaked out until after the draft.
Yeah.
I think out of respect, partially, you know, that they didn't want to just, you know, bomb the kid. But Daboll, as coaches tend to do before these meetings, sent specific film and tape to Shedeur before the meeting for him to go over. And when they met and they're on the whiteboard, he didn't know how to do it. Yep. So clearly, if you are Daboll, and listen, I don't like the Jackson Dart pick, but I get it. They're desperate. They got to find a quarterback to save their own skins at this point. If you are the Giants GM coaching staff, like, you have to. I think Dart's a okay prospect, but I think he's more of a, you know, product of the system, you know, that he worked under with Lane Kiffin. But anyway, so like, why would you take a guy like that? I don't want that guy on my team. Like, I don't want the guy who's brash, but isn't hardworking, and his talent is also not quite good enough to make up for those things. You know, the whole winning like heals all wounds. You know, he's not good enough for that. Mm-hmm. He's not good enough for that. And he was going to go to a bad team with a bad O-line. So that's why the internal clock thing was such a big deal, because people were like, well, Colorado's offensive line's terrible. Listen, they were. But you're going to go to Cleveland. You're going to go to the Giants. You're going to go to the Saints. And listen, Josh, you know this. Your offensive line's been bad in recent years. Mm-hmm. Even the Steelers. So, like, absolutely, you are going to have a bad offensive line again. So I need to know that you can, and this is my biggest critique of Shedeur watching film, is you need to dirt the ball. One of Tom Brady's most undervalued traits was that dude would kill a play. He was excellent at it. You know, oh crap, the defensive end is unblocked coming right at me. Where's my running back's feet? And dirt it. Live to fight another day. Shedeur, not athletic enough to escape, would try to, and then lose 15 yards on the sack. And everybody, you just can't have that. You can't have that.
No. Yeah, the Brady comparison's apt because the way that you hear Brady talk about things, everybody loves watching his juke highlights. Just the way that he seems to just weightlessly pass through rushing defenders. You can see a little bit of that in Mahomes. But the when Brady is in interviews, he always talks about, I'm not running a darn thing until I know exactly what's going on. Which means the inverse is, if he has to snap and he's not 100% confident, he was totally okay to not produce a highlight and just kill it. We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Live to fight another day.
Exactly.
Live to fight another day. And that was one of Shedur's biggest critiques. Like, we're not talking at this point, interviews, combine, anything. The other thing was he didn't go to the combine. He didn't do workouts for teams. The dude was acting like he was a can't miss top 5 pick prospect. Yeah. And that just wasn't the case. The expectations.
He was not the college football LeBron.
And that's how they clearly thought and felt. And it was clearly totally misguided. I don't think it helped when his dad was also talking about, like, listen, I like Dion. I really do. But it did not help when he said, we're going to try to dictate where he's going. He won't play at certain places. Yeah. Well, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about Cleveland.
If I'm a GM,
like you're talking about them. You don't want to hear that. So the Cleveland Browns, they only took him. I still think the Haslams probably told him you're taking him.
100%.
Is because it was in the 5th round at that point. They could probably talk the ownership out of it early on. And then it got to the 5th round and they're like, go get him. And I'll also say that is excellent value in the 5th round for Shedeur Sanders. It is excellent value. And my hope for him, because I have no ill will against Shedeur Sanders, my hope for him is this is a opportunity that he will take to be humbled and snap back into reality. That, all right, I'm a 5th round pick. It is nothing on the GM to cut me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's accurate. Like undrafted free agents take 5th round drafted guys places all the time, every single year. It happens. And so now, but you've been given a great opportunity in a place that does not have clear starters, that does not have a clear direction. And you have I know it's Cleveland, but you have a brilliant opportunity. Like, he's not going to be the week 1 starter. I'd expect that to be Joe Flacco. But are you guys saying that you would be surprised if he beats out Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett? Like, I wouldn't be. He's certainly,
and he has to make the team. Like, that's what we're talking about. To make, he's got to
at least beat one of them.
At
least one.
Yep.
At least one of them. So, like, in some ways, this could be a blessing for him. He might have really needed this. Social media posts, whether that's, attacking other players, his own former teammates in the transfer portal, Dion's comments, him not doing any workouts. Like, it's always, this is true of life. It's never one sole reason, but everything together, you can totally understand how football staffs were scared away from him when they're like, that's not who I want. Like, you especially see late draft picks. They're like, I want the kid who's saying, Aaron, you said the Boise State edge rusher, I will die on the field.
Right.
That's who they want.
Like that guy.
At the end of the draft, they're just like, all things are relatively equal. Give me that kid.
Right.
Like, he loves football. That's what they want late in the draft, especially. They want that in general, but you'll take the talent sometimes over that. But not late in the draft.
Yeah.
You
when
want
Dan
the kid
Campbell
that
heard that
wants to die on the field.
Yeah. When Dan Campbell heard that, a single tear rolled down his cheek. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that, again, this has been obviously a huge talking point about, how Shedeur and Dion kind of present themselves in terms of, they're, obviously kind of trash talking, like obviously very kind of arrogant. And you get the comments like, oh, what, he's not allowed to like be arrogant. Yeah. When you prove that you're good enough to deserve that, because the NFL teams it wasn't his arrogance. That was not the reason why he was not drafted. You know why? Because read any tweet ever by a wide receiver or a cornerback. That's just how that's their language. Because partly the position they play kind of dictates that. You do have to have a ridiculous ego to believe in yourself that, hey, when I'm on an island by myself and this wide receiver who runs a 4.3 is trying to get separation, you actually need some just insane optimism that you can actually hang with them, because you probably can't, because it's an incredibly difficult position to play. You need some of that just ridiculous arrogance. It's a little different when you've got a quarterback that was okay in college, they retired his number because they made the Alamo Bowl. I think that's kind of the problem that
didn't
people
help
had.
either.
That didn't help either. Travis Hunter retired his number.
Either.
Sure, he won a Heisman Trophy, no problem. Retiring Shadur's number, that's kind of tough. So that's where the backlash is. It's not that he's arrogant, because you have other quarterbacks that are, but it's the difference between talking before you've accomplished anything that I think really rubs people the wrong way. And that's really what we're talking about. Like, that's what it came down to. It's not his potential, because I think everyone sees the potential in him, and he still was productive in college with a bad offensive line, Johnny, like you mentioned. But a 5th round pick, it's not your time to say, I'm the best thing that has ever come out of college ever. So, and I think people get rubbed the wrong way because everyone's talking about him instead of, like, ESPN spent a minute on Cam Ward, who got drafted number 1 overall. Yeah. So I think that's like, you're going to wear your welcome out fast if you continue to kind of proceed in that manner. So we'll see. Again, there's a lot of nuance to this whole conversation too. But I it was interesting to see different people's
scoring. Yeah. Now,
I'm sure we'll talk about it again in training camp.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I doubt this is the last we'll be speaking of the Cleveland Browns quarterback room.
Yeah, no question about that. It's going to get interesting. So we will obviously be keeping up with this story. We know that you all will be too. So again, let us know your thoughts. I know there's a whole slew of things we can get into, but right now we got to make some picks.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
To me, North Florida is either losing their first game against Austin Peay by 1 billion, or they're winning the Atlantic Sun and making a Sweet 16 run, and there's no in between.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
I have to give a shout out and a get out of jail free card to Johnny, because in the history of this show, we try to pick the Kentucky Derby every year, and we are 1 for 3. Not a bad batting average, but not good when it's pick this horse to win. We remembered this year, and by we, I mean Johnny remembered. So Johnny, thank you.
As soon as I saw it, I went, oh crap, I knew I was going to forget.
Yeah, well, Johnny saved you from that. So
I also picked the right horse last year.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I can't believe I only put Monopoly money on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Real money would have been way smarter.
Yep.
That's how they get you, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. So I've got the post positions, I've got the odds in front of me. But before we do that, I do need to recap where we are in picks of the week. If you're new to the show, each season we reset the scoreboard. The winner gets a prize. Johnny has won the last 2 seasons, which were both food related, which we actually still need to make good on his Panda Express burrito that does not yet exist, but we'll have to make it exist. In season 3, we have a nice misshapen star trophy that says you're done it. So that's what's on the line, with only a handful of episodes left to go in season 3. And our current scoreboard reads myself with 9 points, Johnny with 8, and Josh with 6. Now, Johnny moved from 7 to 8 points because 2 weeks ago, which was the last time our dumb voices made it through these mics, we picked the Memphis Golden State play-in game, and Johnny was the only person to correctly pick that the Golden State Warriors would win that game, which turned out kind of well for them, because Memphis is on the wrong end of the Oklahoma City rocket ship, or whatever you want to call what that offense is. So that's where we're at points-wise. I will also take a brief moment and say, if you are someone who watches YouTube at all, which I'm assuming is most of you, and if you are not subscribed to the Fifth and Goal Sports YouTube account, I encourage you to do that. We are currently doing a challenge where we are trying to match the number of subscribers to the number of people that can fit in college football stadiums. So we are trying to fill up, what do we say? I think it's Kennesaw State first, and we're moving in the right direction. We crossed the 8,000 subscriber mark last week. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And you can also watch this show on YouTube for free. We live stream it every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So without any more delay, this week we are picking the Kentucky Derby. So first things first, gentlemen, the more important question than who we think is going to win is what's the best horse name this year?
Oh, there's so many good ones here.
I know.
Every
This
year
is a
there's so many
solid-
good ones.
It's such
Chunk
a
of
solid-
Gold
Chunk
is
of
an
Gold?
outstanding name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to see the color of the horse because I
Right.
think that could also like enhance the name.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna see if I can pull
Chunk
up
of
an
Gold
image.
might be my pick.
Hmm.
Either that or Flying Mohawk.
I was looking at that one too.
Those two.
I
are
literally
pretty
just had to type in
outstanding.
chunk, and Google was like, "You mean Chunk of Gold horse?" And I'm like, "Yes, I mean Chunk of Gold horse." Thank you.
It's all those horse race gamblers this week, Josh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all the degenerates. It's dark.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Not golden
Render
at all.
Judgment. Oh, that is disappointing. Render Judgment has got to be.
That is also
I
outstanding.
mean, that's
Honestly,
that's good. 30 to
Maybe
1,
I'm
but
in a-
that's a good name.
yeah. Maybe I'm in a mood, and it's.
Aaron,
I'm gonna
I
say
picked a
this into
30
the
to
odds
1
on-
horse last year and I got it.
I know.
So
I know.
don't let it hinder you.
I'm feeling weird. I'm loving journalism.
Oh, no, I'm changing my name. I'm changing
Yeah,
my
Josh,
pick
why
now.
do you like journalism specifically?
Because it's a concept, and it's
Oh.
like I don't know. I just think for me, it's like a horse learning how to not
Right.
only write,
Yeah.
not only write and edit, but also like do like some sort of like in-field reporting.
Mm.
And I just like
Yeah.
the idea of a horse with a little voice recorder.
Holds a mic up
and
to
like
the
a
other
pen
horses.
somewhere. Holds a mic up to the other horse.
It's fair, Josh. Like most of the time, like the horse is named after like a physical object
Yeah.
Yes.
and like journalism.
Yes. I mean, you have, and then post 18, you have sovereignty.
Mm.
It's also really, really good.
That's good.
It's their concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Coal Battle is great. Render Judgments, again, feels really
Citizen
good. That's
Bull.
a command. That's
Mhm.
a command.
Right.
Owen
Yeah.
Almighty,
Judgment.
the cool sequel, or maybe prequel
Hmm.
to the
Final
the classic
Gambit.
Almighty. Final Gambit.
Final Gambit's pretty
Final
good.
Gambit's a good like traditional
Yes.
strong horse name. Like
Yes.
that's if I'm
like American Promise.
yes,
That's
oh,
another one.
mm.
Like if you said that out loud to me, I'd be like, "That's a horse's name.
Mhm.
I know that's a horse's name."
That sounds yeah.
Yeah. Josh, to your point, I think when the three of us have a horse that's eventually in the Kentucky Derby, its name will just be like Consciousness or something really dumb.
Hey, this is my horse.
Arbitrary.
Ooey pooey.
Arbitrary.
Yeah.
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary is good.
Arbitrary.
Sorry.
Or just
Ooey pooey?
jail. No capital letters. Jail.
Jail.
Lowercase.
Lowercase.
That horse
one
will win.
space-
Yeah.
One space in between each letter.
Oh, good. Good, Josh. I like that.
It doesn't stand for anything.
No. It's just jail. I got to make a pick here. And I do have the
It's a
odds.
hard pick.
It's the balance of finding a good name with odds
Yeah.
that. But again, you're right, Johnny. 30 to 1
That's why,
odds.
but that's why I felt bad about journalism is because I'm like
3 to
I
1.
pick vibes, and the vibe also is really good odds on favorite. So like,
Yeah. I mean, that's what you need. And
I mean, I'm going
Umberto
vibes.
Rispoli is the jockey for journalism, I believe, or the owner of the
Yeah,
horse.
give me
Either
a-
one. That's
I'm
cool.
riding with Umberto.
Umberto. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, join me,
I mean,
Josh. We got this.
I'm
We
going,
got
and
this.
it's not we. It's me first. I said it first, then you typed it.
No, I wrote it first.
I don't believe you.
I
I
wrote
wasn't
it
looking.
first.
I refuse to concede.
So we've got two picks
No, I
for
don't-
journalism.
No, I don't
is
want
what
to
I'm.
subscribe to sports.
I think me and Josh have to pick a second horse to dictate who wins.
fine. Tistastic.
There you have it.
No, you get journalism, and if journalism wins, it's whichever the second horse finishes better.
Yeah, and then I'm picking Tistastic as my second.
Okay. Yeah, this is a duel. Who's your second?
There we go.
Like in
So
all those old
technically, I
westerns.
could just pick journalism and just cancel all of us out.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
I'm not
really.
going to do that
What-
because
if
that's
if
a
you
boring
pick
option.
journalism and then you pick another second horse, then really we've all canceled each other out. And we're
Right, that's what I'm
into the
saying. Yeah,
second.
it's
Chunk
like we
of
didn't
Gold
pick
at
journalism at all.
19 is a terrible pick because he's also in the 19th
Mm.
place, but I'm still going to take him.
Okay. Give
If you
me
wanna do a real
Luxor
pick,
Cafe.
Yeah.
Ooh,
15 to 1. Luxor Cafe.
I love that.
The fact that all these can also be band names just makes my heart happy too.
Oh
man.
yeah,
Hey, guys,
journalism
what's up?
could
We're Final
definitely be a
Gambit.
bad.
Like that.
Like
sounds
journalism
great
could be a
band's
band name though. Like just
Yeah.
Yeah.
journalism.
Oh, Admire
Like,
Admire
why?
Daytona is one of my favorite emo rock bands. Like it's fantastic.
Josh, the way you were talking about, what was the one you said right before that?
Oh, what did I say? Oh, Final Gambit.
Yeah, that
Also
just sounds like a mobile
like-
ad.
Yeah, it does. One of those games.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Free to play.
Yep. That's our first sponsor will be Final Gambit.
You can't find the X to get rid of the ad
Oh, man.
on your screen.
Yeah.
It's hidden.
You just have to throw away your phone.
This game will steal your data.
That's right.
Great.
That's jail. Like
Yeah.
the creators of those games and those ads, jail.
There you
That's
go.
our weekly jail.
I like
Weekly
that.
jail.
Weekly jail.
Give your son this game and make him spend $5,000 on microtransactions. Final Gambit. Like, it's great.
Yep. No refunds given.
No refunds. We will come for you.
We will take your house. Yeah.
We know where you live at Final Gambit.
I love this. This is a great company.
I don't know why I have sleazy app developer
You
voice.
got it. It's so good though.
It's pretty good
It's
though,
so
Josh.
good.
Oh gosh.
All right,
I'll do
well-
all our ad reads once we start getting into
Yeah,
the ad
exactly.
read space.
Yeah. Subscribe to us on YouTube so Josh can do more ad reads.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
You get like 10 extra points per sport if you also fire a rifle at a target. Like for any and every
Just any
sport.
sport.
And you get points.
LeBron
And
for
that- and that's-
3 and then pulls out a rifle and shoots a target.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
Well, it's been a minute since we've had the chance to chat with you all, so this news is a bit old, but this had what we're following written on it more than probably any news story ever. And Josh, I had to hearken back to the days where we talked about the government cheese cave. Do you remember that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, where there was just, and that actually was one of our bumpers at one point, I think in a previous season, where your comment was like, what exactly do you do with like 10,000 tons of cheese? And I still don't think we know the answer to that. But one thing you don't want to do is be carrying 40,000 pounds of cheese in a semi-truck and have that semi-truck overturn on I-71. So this blocked traffic for hours when a semi-truck carrying 40,000 pounds of cheese overturned. And as you might imagine, the Twitter comments were just outstanding. So some of my favorite, I mean, obviously, the poor driver, and I think everyone was okay. So obviously, now we're allowed to joke about it, of course.
We can laugh.
But, you know, people are like, uh-oh, that's not Gouda. And that's the worst thing I've ever heard. Someone said maybe send a truck full of tortilla chips. And you've got someone saying that the person that hit the truck probably had some cheese between them and the semi, and so is at that point, is it a sandwich? Which, oh boy.
I did get to introduce a whole new group of people this past Easter to using set theory to determine whether something is a soup, salad, or sandwich. So I did get to relive that part.
That's good.
So to your answer, probably yes.
Yeah. If cheese is wedged between a semi and another car, is it a sandwich? So really, I don't have any other commentary on that. I just saw that in the news. I'm like, that is the most what we're following thing I've ever seen. Just 40,000 pounds of cheese on the highway. I don't even know how you clean that up. Like, yeah, that's it. That's all I got, but that's what I'm following is cheese. It did finally reopen how many hours later? 12 hours later.
Okay.
On I-71 South.
How do you sell as a good businessman? You both have MBAs. How do you sell? How many pounds of cheese was it again?
40,000.
How do you sell 40,000 pounds of road cheese? Because you're not eating those profits. As a good businessman, what are you doing to
eat the profits? Good one, Josh.
So
yeah. Well, I can tell you what they did, and then what we should do. Because apparently they took a bunch of dumpsters and just threw the cheese away. Lame. You have a great Josh. Your head's in the right place. You should capitalize on road cheese. Because
Maybe
I think
yes,
people would
always
buy
be
it.
selling.
Say, hey,
Road
this
cheese?
cheese touched I-71. Buy it for $100 a pound.
This is the I-71 Gouda.
Yeah.
The
And cheese
okay,
gets better
I
with
mean, we
age,
gotta.
right?
That's yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, this is. You know how they'll age cheddar in like a random cave in England, and we're supposed to pay more for that.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, this is. And this is going to really appeal to that blue collar mentality. You're trying, those guys don't eat enough cheese, so this is how you're going to keep them in the cheese game.
Right.
This is a road worn. This is a cheese that's just as rough and tumble as you.
Good one. That's good.
This cheese lives its life on the road just like you.
Wow, that's
Throw that
good.
cheese in a Chevy commercial. Sold out automatically.
Yeah. This is great. I got to say, our side businesses are booming. We've got mobile ads that are, stealing your
Just data
data
farms.
and your kids.
I mean, if I get Anthony Starr to do the ad read, I think we'll also get some.
Yeah. That's good. Well, that's
some
what I got,
traction there.
guys.
Awesome. Johnny, are you going to take the fun one?
No.
Oh, do you not? I have like.
Go
30.
ahead. No, go ahead, Josh. I don't even know what the fun one is.
If you weren't on this side of Twitter, I am so excited to introduce you.
Oh no.
Aaron and Johnny's feeds were most likely filled with really good draft insights and post-op, bunch of Mel Kiper stuff. Why does he insist on being the way he is? I was given, can 100 men take down one gorilla? And instead
Okay, I have
of draft
seen this.
tweets, mine was filled with simply, can enough dudes with enough willpower kill one gorilla? And most of the feed was people believing the opposite of what you just said, Johnny.
No, they can't.
Because gorilla big.
Yeah.
Gorilla does not have to work that hard to kill. Now, the thing is, and I would love to hear your reasoning. The reasoning for the gorilla bodies, the bodies, is that gorilla big, gorilla strong, gorilla have lots of stamina, and is used to protecting their is it called nest? I forget the specific name for a group of gorillas.
I'll Google right now.
A gaggle.
Yep.
Yet, I do want to hear, Johnny, just you were so confident in your initial, me and 99 other friends, we can take a gorilla.
It's a band of gorillas or a troop.
Or a troop?
It's a troop of gorillas or 100 guys?
Or also,
no way.
One.
I was saying one gorilla.
It is one gorilla. I'm just saying that's what it's called. Also, plural.
It's not a gaggle of gorillas.
Okay, I was like, no, if there's a troop of gorillas, no way.
Yeah, it's just
honestly, this is a thin margin. If you said there were two gorillas, I might pick the gorillas.
By the way, plural of gorillas is gorillae, just for everyone's awareness.
Oh, outstanding.
That's false.
So it's a troop of gorillae.
All right, I'm with Johnny. Let's beat these nerds.
But okay, so my theory only works if you can remove the ability to fear from these people. So it's very theoretical, because what would happen in real life is the gorilla would literally rip a man in half and everyone would run away screaming.
You know what Hulk did?
So
you remember
that is the reality.
Where the Hulk just kind of slams Loki around? It's that times plus 99 others.
Yes, and the 99 others would rightfully run away. But we're saying this is a cage match. There's no escape.
Johnny has
fight to
ripped
the
out
bitter
their
end.
hypothalamus.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
I don't know, probably.
Oh,
the one that makes you smart. Yeah, whatever that one is.
So there's no fear, cage match, fight to the death. You're desperate. Your adrenaline kicks in. I think 100 guys could beat one gorilla eventually. Gorilla would get worn out. He would kill most of them, but I think the people win eventually because out of stamina and sheer numbers. Yeah, but even two gorillas, I'd probably pick the gorillas.
How many guys is a gorilla going through in that case? What's the what
80.
percentage?
Oh, yeah.
80. Okay,
80,
you think
90, 80, 90. Like
80,
he's
90.
most of them are dead,
Okay.
like or dying from their wounds, because
Okay.
those gorillas can chomp too, man. Like they'll get you. They'll get you. But yeah, I would say through sheer willpower, and numbers and stamina, the guys eventually win because there's 100. Now, I thought this was the whole bear thing before, where it's like, oh yeah, on my own, I could beat a bear without any like firearm or anything. And I'm like, you are an idiot,
No.
sir.
Mhm.
Like, actually, I would give you a better chance against a bear than a gorilla, though. Like, honestly, I probably would. Because, yeah, like you're just, that gorilla is ripping you in half, man. If it's just you and the gorilla, you don't have a chance. Not outrunning the gorilla. Like, no. Nope.
Guys,
So-
I've got what we're following breaking news.
oh,
Whoa.
40 minutes ago, Major League Baseball tweets out, just in, the White Sox have revealed their Bulls-inspired City Connect uniforms. So, I don't know if this is a reason to watch the White Sox. It's, again, somehow the White Sox have made it at the beginning and the end of this episode. And we'll maybe get our Andrew Benintendi home run
Oh yeah, hold
numbers
on.
here.
Let me do a quick check.
Yeah. I don't even know if he's playing right now.
in the roster. I like he's in the roster yet, or he's not out of IR yet.
Yeah. Those are
But
very
you never
interesting.
know.
I don't like hate it, but anytime you're a team and you're
Oh
like,
no, he had 4 at bats yesterday.
oh, good. No home runs this year.
0 hits, 0 home runs.
Oh.
Technically a .217.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I feel like anytime you are wearing a uniform that's like, hey, let's remind you of this team that is far better than we are. That's just kind of a tough look. But like execution wise, I think it actually is kind of cool because it really does look like a pinstripe Chicago Bulls uniform with like black sleeves. I don't know what color the pants are. I think they're black. So not like terrible, but naturally they're getting flamed in the comments for the most part. They do look cool though. So that's honestly for City Connect uniforms, which like half are pretty terrible and half are okay, and there's a small percentage that are great. Design wise, it's good. But anyways, all right, that's enough for Chicago White Sox. We've talked about them way too much this episode.
not enough, really.
Truly.
Am I up?
Yeah,
I believe
you're right.
so.
I mean, I have
So
another one.
my-
I have
So mine
many.
is very small. So I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that I helped a friend move to Minneapolis this week, and then we flew back to Columbus, right? So, and then one of our other friends picked me and another friend up to bring back to the Dayton area. And when we did that, obviously we were hungry. The flight was over. It was delayed, and it was over dinner time. We lost an hour. Anyway, we're driving back, and we're like, "What do we want to eat?" We have no idea. And then we saw a Bojangles. I forgot there was a Bojangles in the Columbus area. And we're like, yes. And our friend is from the South, like he's from Tennessee. So he loves some Bojangles. They're mostly in the South. And he goes and orders like a 2-piece bone-in chicken like meal. They don't have that up here, apparently.
What?
They don't have their bone-in chicken up here at Bojangles. Also, that screen was trying to blind me. I thought I was looking at 1,000 suns. They didn't have it. He ordered it, and the guy acted like he had no idea what he's talking about. So this is a in jail and get out of jail free card at the same time, because those are some of the best chicken fingers I've ever had.
Wow.
I never had Bojangles chicken fingers before, and that's all we were stuck with at that time, because I don't know about you guys. If I get in line at a fast food restaurant, I'm going to get something, even if what I didn't want isn't there. I'm that person.
Right.
Those chicken fingers were
you're already there.
awesome. And those Bojangles seasoning on the fries, you already knew that was great. So really good combination. Highly recommend. But also Bojangles, get your crap together, man.
Yeah.
I want your bone-in chicken up here. That's the best thing on the menu other than the fries. Get them up here. I always want more chicken places in Ohio.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I'm hungry. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Me too.
I know why we do
This-
this to ourselves, because we
this is our
record
fault.
during dinner time. but then we're always just sitting here talking about food and how hungry we are. So today's no exception. I guess consistency.
Always our
Look
fault.
at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listeners, viewers, thanks for joining us today. I hope your week is going well. I hope it continues to go well and you enjoy all of the various sports that are happening. Yes, even the Chicago White Sox. Again, if you have comments on the NFL draft, Johnny's also got grades for every single team. We will probably be putting out a graphic here in the next couple of days about that. But if you don't see it and you want to know, hey, what did Johnny grade my team? Shoot us a message on whatever social media platform is your favorite, because we're probably on it. So, and then we'll give you the deets if you want them. So, for myself, for Josh, for Johnny, it's good to be back with you all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the show, and we will see you all next week. Have a good one.